Hi, Lily. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So today we are going to be going through some diet counseling for you, which is basically just going to include your 3-day food diary that you completed for me, the modifications that we can make to those to that diary and your overall diet, parts of your care plan, relating the Canadian food guide to everything, and your diagnosis. Does that sound good to you?
Yep, that sounds good to me, Tay.
Okay, great. So to begin, I briefly wanted to ask you your opinion on your diet. What do you think of your diet?
Um, I think my diet's kind of like in the middle of the scale. It's not the best, but I mean, there's definitely areas to improve in.
Yeah, thanks for elaborating. So, your main diagnosis is moderate gingivitis, and that is putting you at risk for periodontitis. Now, do you know what gingivitis or periodontitis is?
Not really. I know that it's something that affects like your gums and stuff, but
Yeah,
that's
no
kind of
problem.
it.
Exactly, you're on the right track. So, gingivitis is, you're right, a gum disease that causes irritation within your gums, such as swelling and redness. Gingivitis is reversible, although periodontitis is not. So, periodontitis is a more severe gum infection that basically affects your entire periodontium. So, that's your teeth, your bone, your ligaments, like everything basically inside of your mouth, it's affecting. So, diet is an essential to sustain your healthy teeth and gums. People really underestimate it, but it's so important that what you're putting into your body is benefiting not only your oral health, but your entire body, right? How you're feeling every day and what its benefit, like how it's helping your health. So I did notice that most of your diet is fairly good. Although you do seem to be lacking quite a few essential foods that are recommended by the Canadian Food Guide. Do you know what type of things you're lacking in your diet?
I think probably fruits and vegetables. I know I don't really, it's on like the kind of back burner of my food groups, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So I did notice as well that you are lacking quite a few fruits and vegetables. So it is really good that you are able to recognize that. That's definitely the first step.
Mhm.
So fruits and vegetables are actually recommended to fill half of your plate in this picture here, um, for each and every meal. So with this, you can make modifications to it. Obviously, you don't have to follow it super strictly by the book, but having you can break it up, having fruits for breakfast, and then having your veggies with dinner or whatever. As long as you're making sure it fills up half of your plate, then you're set.
Right.
Those fruits and vegetables have so many benefits that are gonna improve your oral health and your overall health, your systemic health. So we're just going to try to make some modifications there. I am also going to be sending you home with a copy of the Canadian Food Guide, just so you can use it as a reference, because it will be very beneficial for you while making these modifications.
Right.
So you did seem to eat quite a bit of protein, which is great. Just make sure to stay away from eating too much greasy protein. So any, protein from fast food that's too greasy, or even cooking it at home, just making sure it's not too greasy. That's gonna be a game changer for you, as well as whole grain foods. So again, in this picture here, there's whole grain foods down there. They should cover one of the corners, basically, or a quarter of your plate, and then same with the protein each meal. Um, so as I mentioned, the protein, you want to stay away from the grease as much as you can. Obviously, in moderation is reasonable, but just maintaining that sort of balance, as well as whole grain foods, as I mentioned. They just provide so many great sources, so many nutrients, which is obviously recommended by the Canadian Food Guide. Um, it's a major part of the food guide that a lot of people lack. So it is really important to keep that up as well.
Right.
Um, so I also noticed as well that you lacked some nutrients, which I am going to send you home with a nutrient chart. So the 3 nutrients you are lacking are iron, magnesium, and vitamin C. Um, so with this chart, it basically just goes over the benefits of each nutrient on your oral health, your systemic health, and then the food sources where you can access these foods, just to make it a little bit easier for when you're grocery shopping and you can make these accommodations. And even you, if you want, you can bring it out or take a picture of it on your phone, just kind of whatever is convenient for you.
Mhm.
Um, so what do you think of this overall, the idea of the Canadian Food Guide and incorporating it into your diet, and also the nutrient chart? What do you think of it?
I mean, I think they're all good to know, good like information to be aware of. I think probably going to use the Canadian Food Guide definitely a lot. from now going on forward and trying to implement that
Yeah,
because
that's
I am getting those nutrients right. So I do want to get that in.
absolutely. No, that's good. And that's, as I mentioned, such a crucial step of all of this is you wanting to do this, which I'm really glad that you're so interactive with me and just, participating yourself because it's such an important thing, your diet, right? So as I mentioned, it affects your overall health and your just everything about your health, your body, your mouth, everything. So it's just so important. So I also saw that you are making water your drink of choice with every meal. So keep that up. It is definitely the best drink you can consume for your overall health. And even in this picture here, you can see making water your drink of choice is recommended by the Canadian Food Guide. So you already have that checked off the list. So that's awesome. So let's just briefly go over some of the modifications I've come up with. And then at the end, once I'm done going over them, you can just let me know what you think about them, okay?
Mhm.
So these are recommended by the Canadian Food Guide. Actually, before I go over that, I'm going to mention just some summary of the findings from your 3-day diary. So as I mentioned before, I noticed that you didn't consume too many fruits and veggies. I also noticed that you need to think about a balanced breakfast because every day for breakfast, I think you were just having a water bottle, which you would want to have a more balanced breakfast just because it's the start of your day. As you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So, just having that balanced breakfast, even if it's not a big breakfast, you don't have to have a big breakfast every day, but just having those proper nutrients and that, that nutrition for your body is going to be a total game changer for the rest of your day and your overall health. So
Right.
again, overall, it's not too bad. Just some areas need a little bit more improvement, which you are aware of. So the first recommendation is eat plenty of fruits and vegetables along with whole grain foods and protein foods. So the modifications for this, 1 bowl of fruit per day, 1 bowl of veggies per day, and then just picking healthy fats. So, fats is always kind of looked at as such a negative thing, but there are healthy fats and there are bad fats. So an example of a healthy fat would be a nut, any type of nuts. So, almonds, cashews, peanuts, getting salt-free is also really good to do when you're buying nuts. So, just consuming those healthy fats if you want to make that like a snack of your choice more often. Next recommendation is choosing protein from food or choosing protein foods that come from plants more often. So consuming more nuts and seeds, as I mentioned, and more legumes. So anything like chickpeas, lentils, beans, anything like that, those are crucial as well. And they do come from plants. So you would be incorporating that recommendation from the Canadian Food Guide. Limiting highly processed foods. So, the processed meat, as I mentioned, going out to fast food, that grease, the processed, and also a processed food such as something as simple as a cookie. I noticed that you, in your 3-day diary, you were consuming quite a few Oreos. So just, looking at balancing that out a little bit better and, kind of thinking a little bit more about your snack choice and what you want to put in your body and benefits, because something such as an Oreo does have a lot of sugar, which is then going to bring in your oral health where, if you're consuming too much sugar, that sugar will then turn into acid, and then that's going to cause caries or cavities, which is basically just going to break down the enamel, make your tooth weaker and weaker, which can then lead to further gingivitis, periodontitis, anything like that. So again, it's just the whole sugar thing with oral health. I'm sure you have a little bit of knowledge on that. If not, I can obviously go into it in more depth in a future appointment. And then if you choose these foods, eat less of them and eat these less often and in small amounts. So consume less Oreos at a time. Basically, more balance, especially in between sugar, having a glass of water. I know you make it your drink of choice. So having that glass of water, swishing out the bacteria and the sugar that's going to sit on your teeth and cause caries is so important.
Right.
And replacing snacks with fruit and veggies more often. So as I mentioned before, making those healthier choices for yourself, and just kind of, what's going to benefit me, what's going to benefit my overall health, oral health. And then making water your drink of choice. You already do that. So kudos to you. And so some encouraged food habits would be cooking more often. So, simple things like planning meals ahead and aiming for healthy ingredients. Enjoying food. So enjoy grocery shopping for healthy alternatives, like enjoy your time at the grocery store, look at the food labels, look at what you're consuming, putting into your body. People really underestimate that, but look at what you're putting into your body. And is this going to benefit me? Is this going to benefit my oral health? Just ask yourself those simple questions, and it's really going to make a difference while you're grocery shopping. And you're going to notice a lot of your food is not going to as much waste because you're going to be consuming those healthier foods.
Right.
And again, of course, it is totally normal to have a balanced diet and, have those sugar, have those chips, and, things like that, but just in moderation, right? Moderation is key.
Mhm.
Be mindful of your eating habits. So watch how often you are eating something. As I mentioned, those Oreos, having 7 at a time compared to having 2 or 3 at a time, it's going to make a difference. And again, swishing your mouth with the water after is not going to let that sugar sit on your teeth and cause caries. So
Right.
that's also very important. And then another one, which actually a lot of people are unaware of this, but eating meals with others is so important because you can enjoy the company of others and socialize about your food choices. So this is really important. And, you can influence others and inspire others to make healthier food choices. And you can also learn from others. So it's really just such a learning experience, sharing your ideas and your choices with others. And it can be really beneficial for both you and your peer. So now that I'm done going over those modifications, do some of those modifications, if not all of them, do they sound reasonable and achievable to you?
Yeah, I think they all seem like pretty good plans going forward. I think I'm able to add in like for example more fruits and vegetables, cut back a little bit on like the snacks or Oreos and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think those are all good options. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. So next appointment we have together, we can follow up about these modifications. We can even talk further about your care plan, some interventions that I've come up with for you. Regarding your periodontal statement that I was mentioning, the moderate gingivitis and at risk for periodontitis. So next appointment, we can go through that, your modifications, and we can just take a look at how you notice an effect on your overall health, eating breakfast, consuming less sugar at a time, always making water your drink of choice, which I know you already do, but just like keeping that in routine. We can just take a look and reflect on how it's benefiting your oral health and your overall health. Again, that nutrient chart is really going to help you as well, just to use as a reference. So other than that, that is all I have for you today. I'm going to be sending you home with, again, the Canadian food guide, your dietary recommendations with the modifications that we've made together, and your nutrient chart, which just includes the iron, magnesium, and vitamin C that you're lacking. So that sounds all good to you?
Yep, that sounds great.
Okay, great. So I'll see you next appointment. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thanks.